Hey guys, welcome. We are sitting here in Encounters podcast room, Pastor Jen and myself, and we're here with a friend today who we get to share an awesome story. His name is Gabe, and Jen, why don't you tell him how we know Gabe?
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember how old you were when I met you.
Don't cry.
Elementary school. I mean, he was just a little. We have a picture.
Yeah.
Probably when we first met Gabe.
Of course, the picture.
No, slideshow's not going to pop up, but we'll show. We've known Gabe for a long time, and a lot has happened in Gabe's life over this last decade, almost. Yeah. There's little Gabe.
High school.
Yep. And so we lived in a small town together, and when he was about in fourth grade, and so we spent a lot of time together, and we've been in and out of church together, and then there's been a little bit of his life where we didn't see Gabe for so long, and Gabe's going to talk about his journey and what he's been through this last decade, and so, or actually, we might even go a little bit farther back to where that little cute face.
We'll hit all the bases.
Yeah.
So Gabe,
we're happy to have him here.
I knew you was when you were a child, and so you had some things in life that, we all have our own story and some things, but it led to in your later years. Is there anything that happened in your childhood that affected, because you kind of, in the most recent years, you kind of struggled with some identity stuff, and as many are in our culture right now. And so what do you think kind of led? Was there anything from your childhood, like when you were this little guy, that would kind of formed that, the identity confusion
This
stuff that you were dealing with?
Pretty deep in it at that point.
Already, it was the first picture that we're referring to. Like, what was happening? Like, share a little bit about, home life and kind of where you think that started.
Yeah. So, it was just, as a kid, I had like a split custody situation with my mom and my dad, who were never even really married. They got together very young and had me. And I always really loved my dad. Like, I would get super excited when he would come over. Like, I would wait at the window for him to be there. Mm-hmm. But whenever I would go over to his house, it wasn't a very safe environment. Like, he lived at his grandpa's or his father's house for majority of the time. And then he moved to this really, really small, like, it was almost like a shack with like he had his bed in the living room and stuff, and he was living with some woman I didn't even know really, and he had a kid, and it was always like I kind of felt lesser than, because it was like this kid over me, and a lot of bullying, and that it was like a sidewalk, and there was just little huts on both sides. And yeah, I would go over there and I would get bullied a lot, like such strange things, like kids would like throw oranges at me, mm-hmm. or my dad would like put me into boxing circles and make me box people. These are just distinct things I always recall when I talk about my childhood for some reason. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I'm just not that kind of kid. Mm-hmm. And so I would punch and I would just get made fun of stuff because I didn't do it correctly. But yeah.
So you felt different. So
yeah.
You tried to find, what does that mean for me, and what the culture tells you and stuff like that.
I was different from a very young age. Like, just the term you'd use is flamboyant. I was a very flamboyant child. I didn't fit in with the typical boys, stuff mm-hmm. like that. When my mom would leave, I would put on her clothes.
Oh my gosh, like I wish we had time to play some theatrics that I have on camera, but we will share those from another time.
Yeah, I have a lot of stories.
Great, hilarious. He is the most entertaining kid that you could have ever watched. He's the star of the show, mm-hmm. life of the party.
Yep.
But not everybody sees it that way, right?
It's walking.
Yeah.
So, and when people start telling you you're different, or because you like different things, you like acting or different things like that, you're just a different kid, they start saying, well, that must mean you're gay, or that must mean something's different. And so,
well, yeah, I got introduced to stuff that I shouldn't have at a very young age. When I would go to my father's house, like in that little house that he lived in that I mentioned, he gave me like this phone I had, and I remember I was going to get in the shower, and I don't know, I recorded a video of myself, and I was just like dancing, but I was about to get in the shower, so I wasn't like dressed. And I remember I was showing a picture of him and the girl's baby, like, because his name is Josiah, I believe, and I was just showing her a picture, and she scrolled past and saw the video, so she took my phone and showed it to my dad, and then he sat me down and had the talk with me, and I'm 6 years old, you know. And when it had no correlation, like I was just
like,
a kid. And
what do you mean, like the sex talk?
Yeah, the sex talk.
At 6 years old.
Yeah, which it had no like. He just came from a very strict background. You
right,
know?
like your video wasn't like that at all. It was just like a kid being a kid.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
But he just was raised in that household where it's a Mexican household, and he roamed the streets a lot, and his father was kind of abusive, and so he just had that mentality, and so I assume when he saw that video, he thought that of me. And so yeah, then it turned into, I looked up the stuff that he mentioned, and at first I thought it was funny, because I was like, haha, naked, like I'm 6 years old, but
so you like Googled sex.
Yeah, but obviously as I got older, it kind of just became a normal thing to me to look at that stuff. And
pornography.
Still now. I mean, it's something that I'm obviously now dealing with, but yeah, I think it really is control over my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, they say pornography like rewires your mind, you know, and then it becomes this different view that we have towards sexuality altogether and sex in general. And so rather than allowing our mind to form as we fall in love with someone, you know what I mean? We're formed by these images and these...
Yeah.
Well, and as a young child, not knowing what the information you were being given, you didn't know how to comprehend it, and then now taking it into your own hands and looking it up, you're seeing a completely wrong view of what sex is.
Yeah.
Instead of being old enough to understand.
Just like evil things beyond just... you know, normal sex or sex between same sex. Like, it goes far beyond that kind of things that a child should not be saying.
Yeah. Was it because you looked it up? Or was it shown to you?
It wasn't shown to me. I looked it up. I was a curious kid.
Yeah.
I wanted to know things.
Yeah, and you have access, so it was easy.
Yeah.
Did your dad treat you differently during that time? I know you said you were bullied and things by the community, but were you ever bullied by him, or did he say things to you because he thought you were different?
No. Honestly, what I imagine when I was with my dad is we would just kind of like have fun. Like when he would pick me up and we would go to the movies, and then he would drop me off, or when I would stay the night at his house, we might play on like his PS3 or whatever for a little bit. Also, a strange thing I might add is when I would, I guess there's just kind of another thing that made me different. It's subtle. But when we would play, like, GTA, like, he would want me to, like shoot people or, like, drive them over with the cars. And I'd be like, no, I just want to drive.
Right.
Turn at the green light.
Because you're not violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just, like, that subtle thing in personality that was kind of different about me.
So you began to question, like, who am I?
Yeah. Well, it was... something was imposed over me before I had the chance to realize it for myself. Like, I remember 5th grade was when it was kind of a lot. Like, I had a crush on this girl, I won't say her name, but it was like her and then all of the friends, my guy friends I was friends with, my entire grade was always like, oh, Gabe, are you gay? You're gay? Like, always asking me that stuff. And I was just like, like,
I'm a
didn't
kid.
know what to say. You're not even thinking about sex right now.
I didn't even honestly really like know like what it was. Like, you know, like it was I was just a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're just now exploring attraction.
Yeah, and
you're not thinking about sex.
Besides that, like those kids were just kind of mean. They're just mean kids.
Yeah.
Like they were. I was often excluded in those friend groups or made to be the problem. And so it was kind of like I would end up punishing myself for when I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And be feeling excluded and stuff like that.
So those words in that time, it sounds like you didn't even know what it meant or understand it, but at some point did you begin to like say, well, this must be, like I'm different and everyone sees it in me, so I need to like at some point in your life, you must have said, I need to look on the outside what they see on the inside.
I think it became more intense because as a kid, like I can say, even when I went to the charter and I was like first grade, like I'd always felt differently about boys. Like I didn't really have it wasn't that gotten to that extent of attraction or anything like that, but I definitely felt different about them. But I had crushes on girls. But what can I even say what that all meant? Like I was a kid. I don't even know what
but
that
you
meant.
felt like you weren't like them?
Well, I felt like I wasn't like them, but also I would just feel different around them, like in a way that's like could be considered eventually gay or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. But I just had friends. I was just friends with them.
Yeah.
Like it was never weird or anything. I had friends. They're boys and they're my friends, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that I counsel have talked to over the years that have a difficult relationship, like let's say with their father, or don't feel that connection with their father. Oftentimes, it's not like a lust type feeling, but there's like a longing of like acceptance and love. You know what I mean? Because we're looking for that love my dad never gave me.
Like from men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's not not like you look at a girl like, wow, that girl's beautiful, but like there's like a longing, and so it's misconstrued as like, oh, this is I must be.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like even to this day, like coming here and my life changing so much, I'm just now kind of starting to navigate like how, like what that even meant.
Yeah.
Like, do I actually have an attraction to men or whatever, or is it like a combination of childhood trauma and then pornography over many years? Because I don't really know at this point like what it is, because even when I think about my attraction towards men, I'm like, is it like a romantic thing, or is it just that, is it kind of empty?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really, it doesn't really serve a purpose. It's just kind of like, I just feel that intensity, but I don't need that.
Right.
It's hard to navigate.
It sounds like because, like we said, at a young age, your perception of love and sex and relationship was like it was twisted instead of the natural way that it's supposed to happen and at the right time.
And I think like when people talk about how kids need to be shown that, like through the marriage of their parents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I never really taken into account that I didn't really have that, you know? Like my parents were never together when I was alive.
Right.
Like they were never together. They were split since I was born. So
yep.
It was like I did never get to see that. Do I know if that caused it? But no, but it could be something.
So the thing that culture will tell you too is basically every feeling that we have is like an example of who we are, and it's always right.
Yeah.
And so this gets into some interesting territory when it comes to like sexuality, because let's say I'm born with a feeling that I want to steal, or I struggle with addiction. But every other sin other than like the sexuality stuff, we'd say it doesn't matter if you feel like stealing, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But the sexuality stuff is so tied to identity.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's like there's just this mass movement that you're a gay person. Are you gay? And I'm like,
or queer.
I sit back and I think, and I'm like, that sentence doesn't make sense to me now. I'm like, are you gay? That is not a describing fact. That you're a person. Your sexuality does not define you.
Right.
And that's something that I kind of had to like distance and realize. I was like, this is not who I am. This is just a part of my life. And I think for millions of people in America and all around the world, it is their identity, and it's because they've been told. And, you grow up in a lot of these people grow up in households where they're not accepted and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, you're gay, and so it kind of out of spite, it just becomes something they're like, oh, no one will accept me. This is who I am, So
yeah, and it's tough to navigate, and that's where the confusion comes in, is because people think, oh, I can't go to that church because they don't accept me, and really, you can't even start in a relationship with God without saying, I'm first and foremost, like, I want to be a child of God. Like, I'm a son or daughter of God.
Yeah.
and then we form from that foundation rather than I can't go to church because I'm gay. Well, then your foundation is your identities and being.
Well, it's a lie.
Yeah, and
People
so
are
it's
lied
like
to.
now anybody that tries to build on that foundation is going to be coming against that rather than starting with the foundation of I just want to know God and I want to go from there. You know, and that's what we tell people is like we're all sinners. Like we all have to be born again.
And also just with like social media, so many children are obviously being raised on social media, and it's very easy to like portray church in a certain way, and that is what majority of these children see and people see. Like church is homophobic, they hate gay people, they want you to go to hell or something, just very hateful. And I kind of had this realization the day before I went to church. I was like, because I went to your house and I was like, this is my family. Like I have nothing to fear.
Yeah.
These people, they would never feel that way towards me. You know.
Let's back up real quick, and tell us that in between when you hit high school and like you said, you were being indoctrinated by this
That's
identity, right? And what caused and created that anxiety and you know fear over allowing the church into your life. So go ahead and just share a little bit about.
I was talking to my mom about this the other day because I was just like realizing, had a moment to myself where I was like, I was so dearly upset that all these years God hadn't been in my life, and I didn't even realize. For so many years of my life, I was like, as a kid, I was so passionate about this stuff. This is who I was, and
So you went to
beautiful.
church as a kid, but then you weren't going to
Yeah.
church for some time.
Just because I don't know, that's just the way that life went, I guess. And I didn't take any mind to it. But around 7th grade, I had some friends that were 8th graders, and one of them, they were a girl, but they were trans, I believe,
Okay.
and short hair and all this stuff. And I kind of found a little community in them because, you know, they accepted me and stuff like that. And they were like, you know, giving candy to a baby, just telling you when you want to hear it. Oh, wow.
Fidgety. It's what happens.
telling me what you want to hear, like. And so I remember
So they were affirming this lifestyle.
Yeah, well, it hadn't even gotten there yet. But,
Oh, okay.
So one
You
day,
were just still questioning.
yeah, like I was just like a gay kid. Well, people would ask me in 7th, I was at a different school at this time, and I would be like, oh, I'm bi or something like that. It would just kind of alleviate like the stress.
The questions.
Because I'm like, oh, but it's like still like girls, you know, stuff like that to make myself.
So you still knew that you liked girls, but you just didn't know who you were?
No,
And so you could say you were queer?
I was like, I think I knew to myself at that point that I was gay or that I had attraction to men, but I would tell people that I was bi to like to not get so much attention to myself and stuff like that. But I was at recess one day, and I remember that friend had told me about what being trans was, and it just kind of stuck with me. Like I seriously contemplated it as a change to make to my life. And I feel the way I describe it is it was almost like an escape, because I was like, low self-esteem. I was a kid, very low self-esteem, like with my appearance and everything, and also gay boy, you know, people are never going to accept me, you know. So I think in a way, for many people too, the trans identity is a way to escape homosexuality in a way. Because
you're not okay. So you're
like,
we're not
you're
gay.
a
I'm
girl.
a girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like that, and didn't.
And you're looking for something like, this is going to make me happy.
An
I'm finally going to be.
answer. Yeah.
I'm going to change the way I look on the outside, and then my insides will be happy.
And also being more feminine and stuff like that, I found like confidence in myself, like feeling I felt more attractive, you know, because this was all still puberty, still growing, like my face, a lot of acne and stuff like that, and I was just, but I started to grow my hair out, high school, and
we got some pictures too. I'll show.
Yeah.
Of Gabe during this time.
This was a couple months ago, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how long have you been coming back to church now? About 6 months, something like that?
Really?
Yeah.
6 months?
No, maybe not. Winterfest was February, so 4 months. Something like that.
That's
and then
crazy.
Here's
So
a
this
little
was
more recently.
this was the
My
day
first day.
before you decided. And that was honestly a hard decision for you, right?
Yeah. But it was, like I said, like I was at your house and then I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to church.
Well, that's what we kept trying to tell your mom because, you know, your mom started attending and I just told her because I said, beyond all of this and the building and the people, we know you and we love you and we needed you to know that before everything else.
Right.
And we were praying for you and we were interceding for you behind closed doors, you know, things that you didn't even know about. But there were spirits at work
I know.
trying to stop you, right? Do you want to share a little bit about the day your mom tried to get you to come before you had made the decision?
Yeah, it was insane. I truly don't know what had me so imprisoned.
Right?
It's spiritual.
So it was supernatural, right?
It had to have been.
Right, because that wasn't you.
It was so, I had such like a hatred and such a like repulsion to it. So it was, I remember Courtney and my mom they called me and they were like, oh, we're on the way, we're going to come get you.
To come to church.
Come to church. And I was like, no, you're not.
Right.
And so they got there completely silent. I would not talk. I would just sit there and they would talk to me and I just sat in silence. And they would not leave without having me go. So they were like, come on, get your shoes on. So I got my shoes on and went up the back door and ran to the Goodwill.
You ran off.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's funny to think about. But yeah, that's obviously like there's something that's trying to keep you from everything you need. You know what I mean? And it's like this. I think the enemy knows when he's losing grip too. When there's people coming for you and caring about you. And it's crazy the distance because we hadn't seen you in so long. It's like in your mind, the enemy used that distance to say these people hate you or they won't like you or
they're
gonna,
judging you.
Yeah. And it's like the enemy is constantly preaching.
What I always was afraid of is that I was like, well, I don't want them to try and change me, you know? Like I don't want to get there and then be like, oh, well, you know.
Yeah.
You need to start doing
You need
this.
to be this.
Be like
act like
us.
Right.
Yeah, look like me.
Right. Hair, cut it.
Right. You need to acclimate to the church way.
Yeah.
Right.
I never. We realized a long time ago, and especially in my life, we can't change a person.
Yeah, no.
I can love you and tell you about God, and then God has to do the hard work. And
the thing that was the biggest for us was we loved and cared about you, and we didn't want to, you know, your mom and your brother to come around and you stay at home because of that separation. We wanted you to come and feel like a part of the family because you were. You're not different. You weren't different. We knew you. We knew who you are. There was no separation between us, but there was a wall.
Yeah.
And we needed you to know that we still welcomed you home.
Yeah. Like, another thing I was just afraid of, though, is that they would always like, oh, well, you can come to youth. Like, it's just kids and stuff like that. And I, like, honestly, I just felt so, like, disgusted of myself. And, like, that I didn't want to even be around those other kids because it made me uncomfortable. Yeah. Because, I don't know, That's
what the enemy does. He tells you, oh, this is going to make you happy. And then he says, you're too gross you're too
sinful
to even go
They're
around.
Gonna talk about
you're going to
you.
corrupt people or something. And it's terrible.
I just was like, these kids, they're going to judge me or something like that. And I'm not going to be able to fit in with them just because, you know, still even coming back to church, like, it's hard. I still struggle fitting in with some of the kids just because, I don't know, I am different.
But you've always felt that way, right?
Yeah.
Throughout life. And so
it's not a bad thing.
Isolated yourself because it was always difficult for you to fit in.
Yeah, and also because, well, I've talked about this a lot too. It is kind of a very common thing to make jokes about that kind of stuff, about like gay jokes or something like that. And I don't necessarily take offense, but it's just like I don't know how to converse with people if that's just like the center of
topic.
Yeah. And it's just, well, that's also another reason why I just never really got along well with a lot of boys. It's just because that's just how a lot of guys are in this generation and stuff, so in society.
And society will tell you, you have to find the box that you fit in and change to be like that box rather than God created us all unique to stand out. Like, we don't feel comfortable standing out. So especially in the teenage years, like there's so much, who am I? and trying to find that it's the most susceptible years to just deception and, oh, you must be like these people. And then you go and you become like those people, because they're like, oh, they accepted me, like you said. And it's like, I don't know, there's always all these hazards to take us away from who God created us to be and try to say that, oh, you fit in better with these people.
Yeah. Well, and that's the path I'm kind of walking now, like who God wants me to be. And it's kind of a blurred line trying to figure out what that is,
Well, but you need to find out who you are in Christ, not who the church wants you to be, not who the world wants you to be, but who you are and who God created you to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you came like 4 or 5 months ago, something like that, and so you started coming. So tell us what it was like. Did you feel the presence of God? Were you just like, because something began to kind of shift in your mind where, I know at first you weren't really open to it, but you're like, fine, I'll come. And then we were texting some questions and stuff back and forth and just kind of conversing. So tell us about the shift that God started to do, what that was like.
I honestly don't remember fully, but I will say that I think that just the sermons always really spoke to me. Like always just like, I always found them to be so like just full of wisdom. But I think at first that that spite and that anger inside of me, like it was just narcissistic. It was prideful. It was like, oh, I don't need this because like I already know all this stuff. But it's just spoken to me in a biblical way from a pastor. It's like, I don't need this. But then the biblical way of it was just so much more enriching.
Well, it applies it to your life in a way. Sometimes you just read through it.
Yeah.
Preaching is powerful in that way. And also the presence of God and the more corporate worship. There's something about the atmosphere of church that's like the Holy Spirit just speaks in a different way sometimes.
Well, even if you were to just look at it not from a religious or Christian perspective, I just think people coming together for such a purpose like that is beautiful. You know, everyone's in there worshiping and stuff like that. Like it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And so Gabe, a couple weeks ago, he he shaved his head, or he cut his hair, and that's what this picture is here. At youth, we cut his hair. And
share a little bit more, because I know the decision to have a new start, a new look, a fresh start going into your senior year of high school. You were already kind of considering this, and then there was a little bit of a challenge made.
It happened very rapidly.
And so there's multiple kids that actually were challenged to cut their hair, and he was like completely ready for this because you were already there.
It was Saturday, and I remember I was all alone at the house, and I was actually doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And so, because at that point I had been like trying to like repent for things and be like, I don't want to do these things anymore, you know, because I know it serves me no purpose and it makes me feel horrible to do it. And so after I like was about to get in the shower and I looked in the mirror and I was like, I feel like I should cut my hair. And I kind of like imagined myself with short hair. And it was almost like a shift in who I was.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with the long hair, I had to get rid of it because it really permitted that feminine entity that I was like engaging in. Because, like the way I maneuvered and acted and my entire
mannerisms.
my mannerisms.
Yeah.
And so when I was looking in that mirror and I was like thinking about cutting my hair, like it kind of shifted, like how I acted. And I was like I think this needs to go.
You're ready.
Yeah. And I went to church the next morning, and they were like, it was like the first thing I heard when I walked in. They were like, "Oh, cut your hair for $50." And I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that."
Casey.
They give a challenge. They said if you shave your head, we'll give you $100.
I just happened to have
my
my
little girl
clippers.
wanted to do it, and I said, "Heck no, you're not shaving your head."
I just happened to have my clippers here to cut Ryan's hair or something, and Casey's like, "I'll give any youth."
Yeah, just a silly challenge. But it was so funny because you had already made that declaration in your mind, like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't even like hard for you to make that decision, right?
I came out of the bathroom, and then I walked in, and everyone was like, "Oh." He was like, "Gabe, you want to cut your hair for $100?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
Easiest decision ever.
Yeah.
But no, so let's go back and show the picture of him with the long hair. And then that's him. He had just got it cut. And then here's him that same day singing on the worship team.
Yeah.
He has now joined the worship team.
It was quite a compilation of things.
Yeah, so
happening
it's
that
a
day.
lot. Yeah, it was a lot going on, and a lot of new songs that you're learning, and a lot of different things that are going on. So
It was very scary.
Here he is on the way here today. So
yeah.
quite the
Trying to
transformation.
get the right
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah. So yeah, you're like learning to be a whole new you, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard, like, you feel like God's speaking to you, like you feeling close to God?
I do think so. I've been trying to read my Bible more. I picked it up like a couple of days ago, I think, but I just need to be more consistent with it. But I definitely think it's just like, even if when reading it and it doesn't impact you in the moment, it always comes back.
Yeah.
And it hits you in moments where you're just like, wow, like.
Yeah.
And now I just read Genesis, and it was the very beginning.
Cool book. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so God's going to start to give you revelation because now your eyes are open and you're going to be able to see things in the Bible that you never saw before.
Yeah.
It's been awesome to watch God work on you and, just like we talked about today in our church, just undo some old things
Yeah.
and do something new. And like this kind of process of, like you've been talking about, the spiritual stuff that kind of had you bound, this process of deliverance that God's having you go through. And so I'm praying for you, and we love you.
And there's still more, like throughout our entire lives.
Yeah,
We've never
there's a lot.
arrived. God is continually working on us.
Well,
But-
there's so much more I could say, honestly.
Right?
Yeah. And just with the sermon this morning, with the undoing, I was talking to my mama about how I feel like oftentimes you can find yourself like trying to feel something when you're up there worshiping.
Yeah.
Like you're like, maybe some days you just don't really feel anything. But then I was like, I think this undoing is going to happen gradually. It didn't have to be there in that moment.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm just learning new things every day, and with
Yeah.
it comes more
Yeah.
undoing. And even with this today, I thought that to myself, and then I was like, it's so funny to me that I'm doing this today with all of this, because I feel like this is a step in that process.
Yeah.
No, it was just such a beautiful transformation watching you and knowing we all loved and cared about you and wanted you to come back home. But you were at a distance, and we continue to just pray for you and love you and let you know, hey, we love Gabe. Just let him know we missed him. We love him, and we never tried to be forceful, never tried to push anything on you. But it was just so awesome to watch God make those little transformations,
Well,
like
every
day.
I tell my mom, I was like, because now that I'm here, I want to help other people.
Yeah.
Because like even my family around me, there's so much to be changed, and not by me. But.
What would you say to other people in this generation, like struggling with the identity issues like you had, like now that you've come back and the Lord's working on you and kind of redefining that? I mean, is there anything? Because I've never been through that. You know what I mean? There's probably some things that you can help people, obviously, with a testimony that's different than mine, that I can't help those people. And so,
I just first off say that trans is not who you are, gay is not who you are, you're not non-binary, and you're not, and all these other things that maybe you're struggling, and these things are just things you latch on to because you're confused and stuff like that. And I think it's very hard to say that to people, especially because I was that person, and it's very offensive at first. But
coming from you would be different than coming from me.
yeah.
You're wrong. You don't even know what it's like.
Yeah.
All right. You're right.
But it's just like it truly is not who you are, and I know that there are probably so much pain that you've gone through. A lot of people in the LGBT and stuff come from terrible homes.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes they can be Christian homes where the family is speaking horrible things over them, not telling the truth, or I say what Jesus, who he was. That's
Right.
They don't emulate who he was.
Yeah.
right.
But that's not what people are told, because people need to know, no matter if you think you're non-binary or trans or gay, Jesus loves you. You're loved, regardless, eternally, unconditionally. And so it just takes that step, like everyone says to me, just coming here, like no one's telling you that you need to change or you need to stop doing this or doing that. It's just when you first establish that relationship with God, it happens by itself.
Right.
And you will feel just this freedom because you will realize that that's not who you are. I'm not a label.
Yeah.
That doesn't determine that's not who I am or who I stand for, you know? And that's honestly
That's
it.
good. Yeah, I always love the phrase, and we've said it before at church, that we have to be a place where you can belong before you become, because God has to change your heart before you change your clothes or the way you look, or before you cut your hair. Like, what's it going to do if someone comes into the church and as a pastor you force them to change the way they dress? Their heart isn't changed. You know what I mean? Like, you have to give people space to encounter God, and then let God do the changing, and then we get to walk along with them and rejoice as God does it. Because I'm sure if you walked in the first week and I was like, Gabe, you can't come here unless you cut your hair, you would have been like, peace.
Yeah, you should have
right.
seen me at my In-N-Out interview when they said you had to cut your hair. I was like, next job.
It didn't matter how long your hair was. I actually honestly wanted you to have your long hair and come do this interview because people needed to see that. But the fact that you said you made that decision on your own to want to break the bondage of what that hair signified, that was a big step.
Well, because you just have to, like, I feel so empathetic for all of the people who are going through what I went through or have gone past it, because telling someone they're a trans woman or whatever it is, like, you will never be a woman and you will never be a man. And that's not, no one's saying that to hurt you, but it's a lie. Like, it truly is a lie. And I feel free from that lie. Because I was like, what was I going to do? Internally just living in deception?
Well, and then your mom told me that you realized you still wanted to have a family and you wanted to get married someday. And it's not fair for you to have to think, I have to change my life and I have to be somebody I'm not. Right. Even though I still desire having
I told her I was just saying, like, regardless if because obviously I still have, like, these attractions. Like, they haven't really gone anywhere, but I still, every day, I think the change has just been that my eyes have been open to the possibility of a family and stuff like that. Like, it's possible, you know? And, but it's just like, I was like, I don't want, even if I have these attractions, I don't want to live this way because it's never going to serve me. I said, it's never going to serve me. It's never going to bring me fulfillment, you know?
Because you were looking for love and you were looking for peace, and because you had anxiety and depression and you were withdrawing from everyone else. So you thought, okay, here's an answer to all my problems. But then you realize
it's not.
It wasn't the answer, right? Nothing was working until.
Well, I just feel so much joy when I think about the miracles that have already happened in my life, you know? Like, the fact that I'm even here is a miracle, you know? Like,
the fact that you would even want to come and do this.
I refused. I ran. I did not want to come to this place.
Right.
And here I am.
Sharing your story.
With cut hair. Looking like my younger self.
This conversation is so important, and it needed to be had, and you speaking out and talking to, like he said, a whole community that some of us wouldn't even be able to talk to because they wouldn't even want to hear us. So it's so important that you would be able to share your testimony on what God is doing in your life and the transformation, the, like, supernatural transformation that's taking place. It's not any doing of anyone else, you know, it's even yourself.
I'm
like, you didn't even realize, like, you would do this, right? Right. And so it's so needed. And right here, as we close Pride Month out, I just felt the Lord urging my spirit to make sure that we did this and we had this talk, because it's so important for our generation right now, because voices like yours need to be heard, because the other voices are getting so loud. You know what I'm saying?
And it's just a picture of what Jesus meant when he said you must be born again. You know, and it's like, the world tells us we're this way and we work all this stuff, but when God does it and we're born again, there's this process that begins of him redefining who we are, and he's done that, and you know, beginning to do that with you. And so, like you said, the deliverance is going to continue as God continues to speak to you and you continue to grow, and he's guiding you now. That's the thing, is like, you're not listening, the other voices aren't guiding you. So now it's like, all right, God, what do you want me to do? This is what I want. but those desires are my natural desires. What does God want? You know what I'm saying? And we all go through that.
Not
It
what
just
any
looks
man
different.
wants.
And finding such glory and beauty and prioritizing what God wants from my life rather than what I want is
It sounds like bondage, but it's freedom. It really is.
yeah, it really is.
People are like, wow, you're just like a slave to God. You think? I'm like, absolutely. And it's so freeing because
rather,
I made a big mess of my life until God cleaned it up.
I'll be a slave to the person who wants only the best for me.
Absolutely.
Right, there you go. Oh my gosh,
Love it.
end it with that. That was beautiful.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Proud
Appreciate you stepping out in faith and being bold. And I know that you are going to be a big voice for this generation. So there's more.
I can feel
there's
it.
more for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And your wife and kids someday, we're going to look back at this and be like, man, God's good.
Yeah.
Give you everything your heart desires.
I want to obviously prioritize my relationship with God, but now that I'm here, there's so many people I want to help.
Yes.
You know, and I just feel it like coming true every day because whenever I'm up there, oftentimes when people come to pray me, they pray over me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say things that resonate with what I'm envisioning to happen. You know,
Wow.
because like they'll come up to me, you're gonna help so many people at your school, and I'm like, that's what I want. There's so many people at my school who I know.
You see so many kids who are hurting,
like
and
people
lost.
I'm close with.
Yeah.
Who
They're desperate.
also do not have a good outlook on the church and stuff like that. Because, like many of them, they were raised by Christian parents who are very angry people.
Yeah.
And they were not shown
representing Christ well.
They were not shown
they need
Christ,
to know who
the truth.
the Lord is. They need to know His character, and they need to know that He loves them. Yeah.
Thank you, man. You want to pray? Pray for.
Me?
Oh, you want me to pray? Okay.
I take
pray.
it.